Hey guys, it's Cool P. I'm back with part two, and I have Ace Queen on two different tables to start off. These are the two new tournaments I am playing. Unfortunately, on Lock Poker, often the very first tournament or the very first hand of a rebuy tournament, it's hard to get the rebuy in. Oh wow, just all in first hand, and I don't know anything about you. Deep stack turbo. Normally when I make that play, I do it with aces. I don't say most people do that, but I do. Maybe I shouldn't be telling you guys that, but if you ever see me, probably costing myself a little bit of value by saying that. See, I don't want to play this because I want to rebuy. Man. Because if I win the pot, then I can't rebuy. Oh man. I really don't like that about the lock tournaments with the rebuys. It's like the first hand starts and then you can push your rebuy button. And so now I can't rebuy and I'm stuck with 1640, which isn't horrible, and if I ever get down I need to remember to rebuy, but it's just kind of dumb, I guess, is my feelings. It's just frustrating that I can't rebuy because I had to play the hand differently if I could have rebought. And any other tournaments? Yeah, this is a small one, but I like rebuys in. I need to fill out my schedule a little bit, and I'd rather play on lock than on Brovada, if possible. So again, just like last time, I'll probably just record until I'm done. Probably try to bring out one video every day until the series is done. Kind of like I did with my last Sunday grind series. I thought that worked pretty well. If I did them all in one day, I'd just spend the entire day uploading, and if I, and also it's kind of too much content for one day. I don't think anybody wants to sit there on Monday afternoon and watch 6 hours of me playing, but if I space it out, it's a lot more reasonable for people to watch. See again, I need a rebuy. I don't think there's like an auto rebuy. Well, I don't really want an auto rebuy thing because there's occasional times I don't want to rebuy. It's not very often, but why does it say I can rebuy again? Normally it doesn't say you can rebuy again. I don't know why it's letting me, or having it not grayed out. So yeah, I'll probably just play till I'm done. I don't think I'm going to play for a super long time today. Kind of depends on how deep I go in some tournaments, but yeah, I'll get a good grind in today, I guess. Hopefully make some money for the first time in a long time. I haven't made money. Whew. A long time grinding, man. It's been a rough 3 or 4 months, but I'm always, it feels like close. I had one day I did make $1 or something like that. And I got like 8th in a tournament. And if I got 7th, I would have guaranteed myself a profit, but I got 8th instead or something. And it's just like, really? And so, but I ended up getting like $1. I made $1 or something like a month ago. And then, I'm going to try to limp go all in. It's not a great play, but in first position, with these chip stacks, I feel like it's a decent way to try to get all my chips in. It's not a play I do a ton. I do it more with aces and kings than I do with queens. But the reason I like it here is because of the chip stacks and because I'm in very first position. I feel like there's a pretty good chance of getting somebody to raise behind me, and then if I re-raise that, I feel like I got a decent chance of someone calling me, especially with a stack like this or a stack like this. Yeah, see, I feel like if I go all in now, I feel like he's very likely going to call. Now, I might have a better hand than me or ace king, but and the reason I'm waiting here is because I think it looks a little bit less like I have aces if I kind of make a wait. If I just go all in right away, I feel like that's like it was my plan the whole time. Now it's like I'm thinking about what I want to do. And then I came to this conclusion. I might just get him to fold, but I probably, yeah, this is the situation I was trying to get into by limp going all in. It's obviously not always going to work, but if I raise with this hand, is he going to re-raise me? No. He's just going to call, and he's going to miss, and he's going to fold. So that's why I made that play there. I don't think it's a play you should make very often, and you should be kind of specific with it. But in certain situations, with certain chip stacks, I feel like there's some value there. That particular spot, and again, I'm being very results-oriented, but it's a lot easier to talk about and be concrete about results-oriented stuff to kind of flesh out the overall philosophy behind it. So in that particular situation, you can really see it, especially with how the board came and everything. I'll bring it up. Oops. You know, if I raise with my queens and then he calls with his king queen, he's just gonna miss. I'm probably gonna fire it out and he's gonna fold, and I'll make, you know, the blinds plus my 250 raise or whatever, and he, you know, it's 1,000 chips that I missed out on. Now again, it's very results oriented. That hand could have, with other people having different hands and with a different flop, things could have happened very differently. So, you know, you can't say, well, it was obviously the right play because of what happened. But that's the kind of situation I can get a lot of extra value out of. Whereas other situations, I'll probably lose a little bit of value, and there's a lot of other situations where I can gain value. And when you don't know what any of the other players have, you kind of have to kind of weigh these kind of abstract ideas of how much value can I get out of this play and how much value can I get out of that play. And I just felt right there was a little bit more value I could extract from the situation by limp going all in rather than just raising. And so that's why I made the play. But at the same time, you got to make sure you're not predictable. Especially right now, I don't need to worry about it because most of these players I haven't played against much, and I don't think many of these guys play a ton. Maybe a couple of them do. And I also just haven't been around a lot recently. So a lot of the new players who are playing a lot don't know me, and the only guys who probably do, he probably does a little bit. I don't see anybody who I can't find anybody who I can really recognize right off the bat of people who I used to play with all the time. But, you know, there's some people who definitely know kind of how I play because I used to play with them all the time. Just every day playing 3 tournaments against them. And so, you know, people can learn your basic things. Now on Bovada, it's totally different now because, frankly, you can't put notes on players and you just have a random number next to you. So every tournament, it's just that, pretty much that table that's going to recognize you while you're at that table. And you're always kind of a random, except for the plays you've made at that table. Even if you switch tables, it's probably pretty unlikely someone's going to be able to remember your number unless they're only focused on that table, and they're probably not a regular if they're only playing one table. And even then, they might not remember, and they can't take notes, so it's not like notes are going to follow you from table to table. So it's a little different, you know. A play like that, you can pretty much make every time you're at a new table if you want, because nobody's going to know it's you doing it. And you have to kind of play like everybody's treating you like a random, except for the few plays you've made while being at that table. So taking the lead pre-flop, I feel like I can push again. And I feel like this is the kind of situation I should push pretty hard, maybe not. Huh, he called that really quickly. I don't think another bet's going to get him to fold. I mean, it feels a lot like a kind of weaker jack, like a jack 9, jack 10 type hand. Or maybe an 8-7 or something. I mean, he could have had a 6-8 or something like that he's calling on a draw, and he's betting out now. Or maybe a 5. I mean, I don't beat any of these hands except the 8-6. I don't see anything I beat. There might be a couple hands I can raise him off, but I don't think it's really quite worth it. Huh. Sorry for the prolonged moment of silence. And when I don't get hands, I often don't know exactly what to say. And like I said in part 1, it doesn't really feel like a time to just start cracking jokes, and they'll be pretty funny. I mean, they won't be very funny because, frankly, jokes are all about timing and mood, and I have not set that up. Maybe I just need a little bit more excitement in my voice, don't I? But I feel kind of weird doing that, talking to myself for a couple hours. Okay, this is that tournament that I can't rebuy in until I get under. I almost should have just bet 70 chips more so that I can rebuy if I got raised on. Although it just feels kind of stupid making this oversized raise so that I can rebuy. Because then why would I make that all-in play with ace-queen? I guess the reason I made that play was so that I either kind of double up or have to double rebuy. And I was okay doing that. And I knew there was a chance it'd just fold to me and I'd be stuck with 1640 or whatever I had. But I was like, I'll just deal with it if that happens. Pretty good flop for me. Can make a small bet, try to keep him around with a jack and a worse ace. Not really afraid of anything here. Spade's kind of a good card. It gives me, with the eight, he could have had a flush, but I have outs against the flush, and it gives me even more outs if he does happen to be with something. And I feel like I'm kind of just trying to milk most hands that I beat that he's kind of sticking along with, and I don't think, unless he has a 2-pair with an ace or he's been slow playing something like I said, or he hit a flush, I think I'm pretty safe. And he hit the 2-pair. The reason I didn't think he had ace-jack was because why didn't he raise me? I mean, he might have been afraid of the flush on the turn. He was planning on raising me on the turn. That's a pretty fortunate situation for him to get into, and he didn't get a lot of value out of it. I mean, I had top with the flush draw, and he had top 2. And he didn't get a ton of value out of it. I'm actually kind of happy that he just played it so slowly. I feel like I could have lost more if he played it kind of aggressively. I might have gotten freaked out, but there wasn't a lot of hands I felt like beat me. This guy watches my videos. Punani Boy. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, if you watch this, you'll see yourself, I guess. And you'll get to see what I had if I ever play against you. So, shout out to you, I guess. That's a very interesting flop. And I don't think I can... Oh man. I don't think I should fold this. He could have hit a flush. kind of a weird bet, but I don't. Only thing I really see him doing that with is like a 5-6 of spades or something. And that's the only hand I really see that making sense with. But at the same time, I feel like I beat other hands of his, or I tie hands of his. I was thinking something like ace king or ace queen. I was a little bit worried about like an ace 10 or something, or an ace. I mean, an ace. What I thought was actually kind of the most probable, I guess. Again, I didn't say it out loud, and I feel like you guys aren't going to believe me because I never say these things out loud. But I was kind of thinking like an ace 9 or ace jack with the jack of spades or the 9 of spades kind of made the most sense to me. And in that kind of situation, I do have a small edge, and there's also a lot in the pot already, so I felt like it was a good spot to call. Yep, says you watch my videos and say you're probably a decent player and have a scenario that I watched you on something where you pushed or something like that. So those are my notes on you. Be warned. I am actually pretty bad at taking notes, so yeah, I don't know. I've always been kind of weird with taking notes. I remember when I was first starting, like when I was, if I was playing in today's game as good as I was 5 or 6 years ago, that would be a horror show. But a horror show, not a horror show. This can mean two different things, I guess. Yeah, I used to just like, I wouldn't know what to say, and I'd basically just like type out these really complicated situations that I saw a guy play in. That's kind of what I did with you a little bit, is I said you shoved with this hand in this spot. And it wouldn't ever really tell me anything. It'd just be kind of like, this guy checked Jack 10 hitting top pair after, you know, there was a raise and two calls. Like, it was just like this convoluted thing of what actually transpired, instead of kind of taking what transpired and taking that into a general thing that I can understand and know what type of player this is. And it'd be like a one-hand thing that I would kind of read into one hand that they played and try to like, it was me trying to like, by writing notes, like not miss anything in that note that I wrote and not get misled by it in the future. So I'm like, I didn't want to say like he's loose because maybe it's just one play, so I wanted to put that exact play so I knew exactly that. But when you do that, you don't learn anything about the player. You just these complicated situations that are hard to analyze when you see the player again, and you don't even know what it means. So what I've kind of do is I've kind of oversimplified it a little bit at times, and I still do things that are overly complicated, like I did when I put a note on you. And I probably haven't seen you play a whole lot, so I have really no idea how good you are. I would think you're good if you're watching poker videos and spending a lot of time with poker, but I really don't know because I haven't seen you play. But basically, at least I haven't seen you play a lot. You know, basically what I started doing is if I saw someone make a really bad play, what I'll do is I'll go to a guy and I'll mark, you know, this is the one for easy and this is the one for fish. So basically, if I see someone make one bad play, I'll kind of put the easy thing on them, and if I see I have the easy thing on them already, I see him make another bad play, I'll put the fish thing on them. And if there's something more I want to say that's really simple, I'll try to put in there. Occasionally I'll put in a specific situation if I don't know what to make of that situation exactly, but I still feel like I should put it in there. I just haven't gotten a great system, even though I've been playing for 6-7 years, I haven't gotten a great system down of how to take notes, because I don't like taking notes on one specific situation and kind of saying that's how that player plays. Like if they check raise me, some people I know, if they get check raised by someone, they'll click on the guide, put check raise. I don't do that because I feel like it'll make me kind of think too much into stuff. I probably should start doing some stuff like that, and I don't use the note capabilities nearly as much as I should, especially against some of the guys who I play against all the time. Those are the guys who are the most, you want to get the most kind of details about those guys who you see all the time. There's a couple of people I feel like I was able to figure out pretty well, but kind of for the most part I feel like I didn't do a great job of, I haven't done a great job of really figuring out those players who play a lot, and I feel like they get a pretty big advantage of me because they're probably a little bit better at that than I am. So something I need to utilize to make my game a little bit better. So, again, I'm trying to keep it around 4 tables. Mainly because I just feel like playing less tables is good for me right now. I can kind of focus a little bit more. I noticed last time I played I was losing some of my focus. I wasn't analyzing situations quite as well. And a lot of pros tell you, don't try to max out tables, or if you do, try to cut back a little bit, because overall you'll make more money playing better in the lesser amount of tournaments you play than you'll do better if you play less tournaments but get a better ROI than playing more tournaments with a lesser ROI is kind of their idea. Especially because if your ROI jumps from like 20 to 60, it's really hard to make a lot of money at a 20% ROI. But if you can, that's kind of arbitrary numbers I'm throwing out there, but it does change things. Now he would make a really good play by going all in there, because it's hard for him to know where I'm at. He might be trying to trap me with a pair, but I feel like I need to go all in and try to win all this money, because I pretty much double, like if I basically folded this or win this pot, it's basically like me doubling up at a later point in the tournament. So it's huge to win a pot like that. I can't just give up on those kind of pots. Something I used to do a lot, because he might be trapping me and I'd rather stay in the tournament than just put myself in a terrible spot. But frankly, if I fold there, I'm going to have to double up at some point to get back all the chips that I just gave up by folding, or by giving that pot away. Sorry, I'm not talking. I'm getting a couple text messages that I'm trying to respond to. Again, this isn't a professional production, so don't get too mad at me. Again, if I win this pot, I'm not going to be able to rebuy. Oh. Now what does that tell you? Check raise there seems... I mean, I have a pretty strong hand, but it's kind of like... It's honestly just kind of a good play by him and a little bit of an oversight by me. It puts a lot of pressure on me to continue with hands like the hands that I have. It's the kind of thing that aggression makes work so well, is that pressure of, am I willing to call 2 more streets down to see if he has the queen or not? And it's the kind of thing I've stopped putting that kind of pressure on people, and I used to do that a lot more. And I need to get back to it because it's such a huge advantage. And you know, that's the spot I opened myself up to right there by making that small bet. I wanted to check back kind of for that reason, but I felt, well, I can't just check and give him a free card to a jack or a king or something. So I felt like I had to make a bet, but when he raises me, it makes me so vulnerable to that queen, you know? Oh, I looked down and I actually have some hands. Okay. I like folding this. Really, 7 6s are the hands I'm hoping for, and those are pretty it's the power of the play that he made. And what are the odds here? I think that's a little bit too much. I feel lame folding all the time again, but you know, that's what I've seen this guy be so good at, is he plays a style that's really, really aggressive. And what he's able to do is get people to play back at him with worse hands. That's not a flop I won, and it gets 2 people. That's not very good. And he gets in situations where he has like 8s here and someone goes over the top. But the thing is, he's been playing so aggressive. I haven't seen him play very aggressively since I've been playing with him on lock recently. But when I've watched him in the past, it's kind of this whole, you know, he's playing back at me because I'm super aggressive, so all of a sudden my 8s are a much better hand. And he is playing back at me with 7s and 6s and 5s and king jack and 10-8 and other weird hands. He's playing back at me with those, so this ace is a hand that I can go along with. And my image is so different than his. Really? I feel like I can call this. If he bet less, I might fold, but a full pot size is how I hit a set. Okay. I was thinking maybe 7-5 or something, but I felt like a smaller bet would feel like a queen or an ace or something, like a bad queen or a bad ace. But that big of a bet felt kind of like he's trying to buy it. So, yeah. That's why I made that call. But yeah, that's the brilliance of that aggressive style, is your bad hands become better because people are playing back at you more, and if you can kind of gauge exactly how much they're playing back at you and you're enticing with hands like eights all of a sudden, it works really well. I think the way lock poker is set up and the way the average player plays, I don't think it works quite as well as it did on him for full tilt and stars and stuff, but back before Black Friday. I think those sites it worked a little bit better than it does on lock, but the overall philosophy still works, I think. I might just play these 4 out and then stop, unless I find some turbos. I'm not really into doing a super long day today. Here's what I'll probably play. Start a 5th tournament, I guess. Yeah, I don't... Oh, jeez, I should probably pay attention. It's 2 people. I'm just going to call and hit top set the nuts. I'm going to bet out, hoping someone has an overpair that they'll kind of shove back in me. That's probably not the best way to do it. I feel like it's going to be weird to get everybody to fold, though, by this bet. But it happened. Rethinking that, check raising was probably the way to go. I could get another bet in there because of that. So, oof, weird spot. Wow, really weird spot. I actually don't like it. I was thinking about just shoving, but I'm gonna have top pair, but there's so many 2 pairs out there right now. I do have a queen, but that's only 4 outs. Against 2 pairs I have a king. It's just a weird spot to be in. This is almost even more weird because someone, I'm almost certain, has a queen and was hanging around. Because no one's going to fold a $400 bet if they have a queen in their hand, so I think that's actually a bad card for me. Oh, wow. What a weird hand. Oh, yeah, the flush draw with the ace. He had queen jack, so he had kind of my hand just a little better. Well, against my hand, it was worse. But overall, it was better because he had more outs against the other 4 players. But it ended up costing him more money because he hit the second best hand because of that queen. That was a weird, weird, weird hand. Yeah, I thought calling might just be donating money. It's an interesting call by him. In fact, even on that last play, it was kind of a interesting call by him on the flush draw. And that one he called and then called a huge all-in with Jack 10. In the previous play, I mean, he called most of his chips pretty much on the flush draw. There's a lot in, but I have not been impressed with the right guy. Yeah. See, like I was talking about earlier. I've tried to oversimplify it just to kind of give me something that'll make sense. With the 3 bet, I feel like another bet will work a lot of the time. Might have been too small of a bet though. I like a check there because it looks like kings or queens. And then that ace is actually a pretty good card to get paid off one more time. But, oh well. I haven't really been paying too much attention to this hand. I kind of have. But I kind of got caught up in that other hand. Just is actually making really quick decisions over there, which I thought were the right decisions, but I was making it really quick, which was good, I guess. I could call this. It's only 90 chips. I guess I haven't actually. I don't like those spots very much. I just feel like I'm so vulnerable and I'm not extracting value from anybody. And there's 3 other people in the hand and I have a weak ace with it. It's just like people are going to be trying to extract value from me, not the other way around. But with that bet, I feel like I can make at least a call. Yeah, I don't just get bled that hand. One mistake I do realize I make is when someone bets out on the flop, I often just kind of assume they're going to bet out on the turn-in river, and so I give them too much credit. I don't call very often to see if they're going to or not. Split. So I don't know how much of that is a mistake and how much of that is a you know, being wise and not just calling off to fold later, you know. I have a 10. Yeah, Jack 10. Yeah, sorry, I'm still not great when I'm doing these commentaries of when I'm really in the middle of a hand analyzing it out loud. And honestly, that was one of the things that made me start doing these videos, is it would make me concretely say what's going on in the hand so that I could flesh out my ideas, because a lot of times when I'm in a hand like that, I'm kind of like generally thinking about what this guy has, but not making it concrete. And that has been such a problem, because when you make things concrete and, like, you know, this hand's a possibility, that hand's a possibility, it really kind of helps you narrow down the ideas of what's really going on, and it helps you in the future of you get to see how correct you were in your reading ability, and you get to really kind of reanalyze the hand, going, you know, actually, you know, King 10 or Jack 10 made a ton of sense, and you can kind of see why by playing it back in your head. But I didn't really concretely say Jack 10 or anything like that, so I was just kind of playing off like, well, 10 seems about right, but like, what 10 combinations does he have that actually make sense? How many of them are there? And all sorts of stuff like that. When you concretely put those ideas out there and in your mind, it totally helps you analyze situations, and it just improves your game so much faster by doing that. And it's really powerful. And that's kind of one of the reasons I started wanting to do these videos, was for myself to just kind of force myself to concrete. And I do it more now than I used to, but I still have so many situations like that where I'm just kind of like playing the hand thinking, well, I'm trying to extract value from a 10 or whatever, but I kind of like arbitrarily make that stuff up a lot of the time. So, you know, are there really a lot of 10s in his range? Or are there more, you know, I don't remember everything on the board, but are there more 6s in his range, or whatever the other 2 cards were or something? And I need to play the hand differently by what type of hands are really in his range, and then you can reanalyze players' ranges by seeing how correct you were and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely need to concretely kind of ask myself, well, what actual hands make a lot of sense here? And kind of go through that throughout the whole hand, and it just helps your reading ability so much. And what the top players are able to do is they do that over and over and over and over again, analyzing these hands, and it's like, you know, you're constantly improving that ability, which is one of the most important abilities in poker, is just analyzing the other player's hands and what kind of ranges make sense for them in this situation. And then you can go from that into what are they trying to play off of me, and when you concretely make those things happen, it just makes it so much clearer in your mind, instead of saying probably has something like a 10 or whatever. Just, I mean, sometimes I pull that stuff out of nowhere and kind of just hope this guy has this type of hand, when really there's no combination of that hand that really make a lot of sense throughout what's transpired the whole time. And so I'm really just kind of hoping instead of analyzing, and I get in that situation a little bit too often where I'm hoping rather than analyzing, and I need to concretely make things make more sense so that I'm not just hoping anymore and I'm constantly analyzing to say the same two words 3 or 4 times in a row. Don't really like this spot too much. I don't feel like I can fold. It's just winning this pot will be a double up, but I don't think I have any odds to try to take it all down with a7 pre-flop. Kind of just hoping for a pretty good flop there, and I still might have a chance to take it later, but it doesn't look like I will. I was thinking about a stop and go, but a stop and go against 3 other players is kind of tough. Pre-flop I just have no fold equity, so it's like, why even try when I'm going to get called by somebody who has something better? Yeah, it's just kind of a tough spot, because I mean there's so many hands that just kill me. I'd rather have like 8-7 suited there to try to steal it with than ace-7 off, because you know, so I'm just gonna, if I have an ace-10, which somebody probably had a hand similar to that, I'm just gonna be killed. You know, this is pretty easy decision here. And I got a good chance to double up and kind of get back into this tournament, but I don't. I also think my audio and video is a little bit off. I've noticed watching my videos, I kind of looks like I predict what's going to happen, because what I say, it kind of sounds, when I rewatch them, it kind of goes like I say, and I don't, and then the last card comes. I think it's just because my video and audio are a little bit off. It's not that frustrating probably to watch, because you can't see my mouth or anything, and that's when it's really hard to watch, when the mouth doesn't match up with the words. But it's just the video, so I think it works okay. I don't know how to fix it though. It's just been something that's happened on a lot of my videos, not all of them. But luckily it's not that frustrating. I don't think. If that does frustrate you guys, let me know and I'll try to fix it. But I think it's worked out fine anyways. Maybe it ends a little bit of suspense early, or maybe it just, I don't know what it looks like. But I have noticed it. And I would like to fix it if possible. But I haven't even spent the time to get Poker Tracker working, so I think that's second on my list. I could raise this. I think this will, oof. Well, I can call this. Thinking a small bet would kind of make him think he could push me around. That's kind of a... I made the 3-bet to try to take control of the hand and to kind of get a feel for where he was. He made a 4-bet taking back control of the hand and making his range look a lot stronger, but then at the same time at that point I felt like if I can hit an 8, I have odds here. I think he kind of opened himself to me having odds to hit a set and taking the rest of his chips. It was only like 340 more, and he had a bunch in his stack, and there's already a bunch in there. So I feel like calling made a lot of sense there. The only hand I really left myself all that vulnerable to was like an ace-king that missed, because I was planning on kind of not sticking with the hand almost ever unless I hit an 8. So I left myself open to like an ace-king that didn't hit. But other than that, I don't know what I would have beaten. And I think that 3-bet kind of helped me analyze where I was in the hand. And that's the other thing aggression does really helps with. I only got 10 big blinds. I need to start shoving, and I need to start shoving earlier than I used to. So I'm shoving with this hand. I used to fold hands like this in this spot thinking, oh, there's 4 people after me. I can wait around. But I feel like I wait too long to shove a lot of the time. I'm trying to open that back up a little bit and shove a little earlier. But Yeah, another really good thing about aggression is you can. It makes people. It forces them to reveal the strength of their hand a lot of the time, and that can be really helpful. So now people can play tricky against you still, but it gives you more information a lot of the time, which if you're a good player is extremely valuable. And that's actually, I think, almost what's hurt me the most in playing so passively is I play in the dark so much more than I need to. By playing passively, I just give them reins to see raises like that I make without even thinking about it sometimes, and I don't think that's a bad raise, but sometimes I make raises that aren't good because I'm just not even thinking about the situation at all. I just make it kind of subconsciously almost. But I forgot what I was talking about. I do that all the time. Sorry. It's a good flop. A lot of players. I'm not really too worried about all that much. Maybe an ace queen, but I'm not really worried about anything. But I'm going to try to get my money in there. Some flushes and straights opened up, but they're unlikely ones. Right as I say that, too. Wow. Right as I say that. They were pretty unlikely, though. To hit the back door straight or flush. Yeah, I mean, he had the 8 on the flop, and then he hit the flush draw on the turn, and oh man, that's, you know, I 50 chips and I can't rebuy. Just gonna get out of the way there. I'm just gonna get, I mean, this is, King Queen's not a terrible hand, but it's just like, I'm basically stealing from this many players, and it's, I think I talked about it in, oh wow. I don't like limping a lot, but being in position, I feel like maybe I get away with this. I just feel like I'm trying to steal from all these players, and it's just not worth it in terms of value, I guess. It's much better to try to wait a little bit and try to steal. I mean, if I was a little shorter, yeah, I would just go with it, but the strength of the hand doesn't beat out the position that you're trying to steal from, I think. Getting a coin flip to try to get back into this tournament, not a terrible spot. And I mean, I do have the advantage against an ace-10. So, plus with the blinds and everything, it gives me better odds even, so. I'm just kind of hoping for a good flop here. Being in position, I feel like throwing away 100 chips is okay to try to get a good spot with a good hand and a good position. Oh, now I can rebuy again. Again, this is another small tournament. Although, guaranteed isn't tiny, it's just there's a bunch of players in it. I mean, 5,000 guaranteed isn't huge by any means, but I'd be happy if I won this tournament, I'll put it that way. Especially with how things have gone for me recently. 12th through 8th place is what's happened to me recently. Just like a wall right there. Ooh, I do love this tournament. So I'm looking at other tournaments to register, and then there's one I'm thinking about. How long has it been running? It's been running for 26 minutes. If I saw it earlier, I might register for it, but not now. Ah, screw it, it's too tempting. I just like this tournament a lot. It's a, oh, that's a good flop. It's a rebuy Brovada tournament that I've had. I think I've won it once or twice or something like that over my long lock poker career. Had some other good finishes. I feel like I play pretty well on it usually. It's a little bit expensive. I'm trying to cut down on my overall buy-ins per day just because I haven't had a lot of success recently, and when I'm not having success, that's kind of what I do. Try to kind of get back on. Instead of increasing the buy-ins like some people who try to win all your money back, I kind of decrease the buy-ins. I try to get back on track, try to get that confidence going again. And yeah, so I try to decrease my buy-ins, playing smaller tournaments, get my game back going. I think that's the smarter way to do it. See, here's a question. I'm going to do the same play I do with the queens. It's not quite as good position-wise, but the rebuy makes me like doing it because people are going a little bit more crazy and willing to put in a lot more chips. And then I also like it because aces, if it does come to a flop against one or two players, you know, I still have a very strong hand, where with queens, your hand gets killed a lot by a king or queen coming, or a king or ace hitting the board. This is turning out pretty well. Tens and fives, that's pretty good. And I have a diamond covering both of them. And just made a bunch of chips right there. So that was a good play to do. Again, results oriented wise, that made me a lot more chips than if I had just raised. Because if I raised, this guy probably would have gone all in, this guy would have folded, and I would have made a decent amount of chips, I would have been happy with it. But getting another guy to go into fives really kind of bolstered the amount of chips I made there. So results oriented wise, that worked out really well. Overall, I think that still would work out well. It's a play that used to happen all the time. Ooh, I was not expecting you to call. It's a play that used to happen all the time. And then people would just kind of stop doing it because people got caught onto it way too much. But now it's kind of died back off. And it's not that, it's kind of obvious when it happens, but if you can find the right chip stacks to do it in, I feel like you can really kind of get people to kind of overcommit to certain hands when it's like, well, it's a pair, so I mean, I guess I can. And they kind of go with that philosophy when they already have a bunch of chips invested. They're kind of willing to invest the rest some of the times, you know. Here I'm kind of just going with it, hoping I have the best, not hoping, but thinking I have the best hand and willing to commit all my chips. Sometimes you can just do the best if you're like, if he happens to have a better hand than me, he happens to have a better hand than me, and I'm willing to commit the rest. And that's the best way to maximize. You have to play it like you have the nuts, basically, is the best way to maximize your value. And that's kind of what I was doing there. You have to be a little careful with that if you're playing a hand like a top pair that can turn into a not very good hand later. Because if you just play it like you have the absolute nuts that can never be beat, you might slow play it way too much or something, and then your hand just looks bad. And then you put on all your chips when your hand looks bad. But I was playing it basically like I'm trying to get all my chips in the pot. If the hand changes directions by what comes on the board a lot, I might reevaluate, but for right now, I'm just trying to get it all in, and as soon as possible, kind of. It's kind of the philosophy I was using with that hand. Again, I should have been concrete about trying to put this guy in something. I wasn't, and that's a mistake. It's something I gotta get over. Looks like we're coming to the end of this video pretty soon. Yeah, so we'll play this one out, and I'll start up part 3 pretty soon. Again, they'll probably come out once a day or so. I might miss a day or two here or there, but I'll try not to. Yeah, I can call with this. I don't like calling that much, but it seemed like a situation where it made sense. It seems like a situation where bet out kind of makes sense because there's a good chance nobody hit anything, and I might just be able to take it down right now with a small bet. Also, kind of disguises my flush draw a little bit if someone does call. So 3 of my tournaments went on break. I don't know why the other 2 aren't. because this one's not going on break for 60 minutes, it seems. Anyways, I'm going to pause it now, and I'll wait for these three to get back, because these are the ones that seem to be on the correct timer. I don't know what's going on with these two. I guess Lock Poker kind of changed their break schedule a little bit or something with some of their tournaments. But yeah, I will I guess I'll end this part, and I'll see you guys in part 3. Hope you guys enjoyed it.